Now, I just want to go over just a couple of quick things. I want to make sure you understand, okay? I want to make sure you clearly understand. Apple began taking pre-orders for the iPad March 12, 2010. It's just a little over a year ago. 300,000 iPads were sold on the very first day, okay? By May 3rd, okay, they had sold 1 million. I don't want you to concentrate on the numbers, the units. I want you to concentrate on the rate of growth and the time span. They went from 300,000 in the first day to over 1 million, literally in 2 months. Literally in 2 months, okay? All right, with that in mind, by May 31st, they had sold 2 million iPads. Look again at the rate of growth, please, okay? All right, when we look at it, by June 22nd, they had sold 3 million. Now, instead of taking a month to sell 1 million, now they're down to 3 weeks. Okay, look at the rate of growth. Between July and September, they sold another 4.2 in that 3-month quarter. They're now selling approximately 1.4 million iPads per month. Okay, and that was in 2010. During October 18th, 2010, all right, Steve Jobs announced that Apple had sold more iPads than Macs. Apple is no longer a computer company. It used to be called Apple Computer, now it's just called Apple. Okay, it's no longer a computer company. It is a mobile device company that is actually morphing now into a content company. Make sure you realize that. The largest purveyor of music in the world is Apple. Okay? They have an 84% market share. Now I'm going to swap caps. I wear a bunch of different caps. First and foremost, I'm a teacher. Aside from being a father and a husband, I'm a teacher. That's the most important role in my life. Please understand that. Okay? The next thing, obviously, besides being a teacher, composer, conductor. That's really important. But I'm also in business. Okay? And I have to deal with business every single day of my life. I do have another title, by the way. I'm the Vice President of the C.L. Barnhouse Company. I handle product development with the C.L. Barnhouse Company. I also handle product development for Walking Frog. I have to deal in corporate life every single day. So when I look at numbers like this speaks volumes to me. Okay? All right, now when we look at the sales statistics, let's look at it very quickly. That 300,000 I gave you, let's fast forward to right now. Right now, they sold 25 million. 25 million iPads are running around our world, okay, right now. All right, and by the way, those are American statistics. That's not worldwide statistics, just so you know. Okay? All right, so when we look at it, they have had to recently increase their 2011 sales forecast. They were expecting to sell 36 million. Now they're expecting to head up it to over 43 million they're going to sell this year. That's in addition to the 25 million that are already out there. Okay? All right? Please look at it. In 2012, they're going to see they're projecting a 50% increase over 2011 sales. By the time we get down to 2012, there's going to be literally over 100 million iPads running around this country. There's only 350 million people. Think that one through. Okay? All right, so let's look at the givens. Givens are things that we can't change. We can't change these. One, iPad and all related technologies are here to stay. It's not a matter of us sitting back and going, do I really want to do this? Guess what? It's here. And I will tell you, I love technology. Somebody asked me, hey, where do you want to eat? What do you like to eat? I was going out with Ted and Jay last night. What kind of food do you like? I said, I like good food. Okay? I like good food, all right? I like good food, all right? You know what? I love technology, but I love good technology. This is not an Apple session. This is good technology and its application in our classroom. All right? So it is a given. I can tell you definitively, nothing comes close to the iPad. Nothing comes close. Okay? I have hopes. The Droid operating system is not close yet. I know this for a fact. It's not something I think. It's something that I know. Okay? I have hopes for the BlackBerry Playbook. Okay? But it's not there yet. Nothing comes close to the iPad. The iPad is here to stay and related technologies. By the way, I'm rooting for Droid. I'm literally rooting for the Playbook. I'm rooting for all competition. Because I want to keep Apple on their toes. All right? You'll see a good example of that right now. Amazon, the mighty Amazon, actually changed Apple drastically. And Apple had to respond to a thing called iCloud. Okay? Those of you know what I'm talking about. Now your content can stay in the sky. Used to be I had to buy 2 or 3 copies of everything. Because depending on where I was at, I was tethered to my machine at home. And I live my life on the road. Somebody asks me where I live, I have to tell them Delta Airlines. Okay? Yeah? So, you know what's bad? You get to the Atlanta airport, you walk up, I walk up to the food counter, and they say, Mr. Smith, will That's bad, okay? This is not good, all right? So, with that said, being tethered and having to sync to my home computer is a problem. iCloud solves that. That's only because a few months ago, Amazon allowed you to, their big marketing hook was to be able to download audio tracks, but it was sitting up there and you could get to them anytime from anywhere. All right, so Apple had to respond with iCloud. The .Mac accounts that some of you have. I was an early adopter of .Mac. I thought it was brilliant to have my little cloud in the sky. The problem is, in the last year, they have been absolutely usurped by Dropbox. Okay, and Dropbox has done amazing things, and it's forced Apple to reconfigure the entire thing. So .Mac, some of you know, is going away. You already remember it was .Mac, then it was MOV, and now it's going away, and it's going to iCloud. Okay, so they are here to stay. All right, simply stated, the train has left the station, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the ship has left the dock. All right, if you're not on it, you don't get to ride. Okay, so with that said, let me give you another couple of givens. The laptop is in its final stages of viability. Okay, final stages. When you really look at something like the most state-of-the-art machine out there right now is a MacBook Air. Okay, that's what that really is. It's basically an iPad with a built-in keyboard. It's really what it is. Okay. However, they're using flash technology and flash drives. Okay, to do things on a much higher level. Okay, I bought this Mac. I bought about 2 months ago. This is the latest and greatest. Okay, 8 gigs of RAM. Here we go. I learned a long time ago, buy the biggest, and I get the biggest and most advanced, and I get another year or two to use out of it. Okay, if I try and save a couple $100 now, in about a year I realize, oh my goodness, I need another one. Okay, it's like buying a good suitcase. Somebody who travels a lot, you can buy a cheap suitcase, and you're going to need another one after the airlines get done with it, TSA. You're going to need another one in about 3 months. Or you can spend the bucks and get a Travel Pro or a Tumi or something along those lines, and spend a couple $100, $300-400 on a suitcase, but it'll last you a lifetime. Okay? So, with that in mind, this will be the last laptop I'll ever buy. And I know that. Okay? I know that. All right? So, the final stage. Media has now been redefined, repackaged, and reproduced. You're all taking notes right now. I'll make this PowerPoint available to you just so you know what that stage really any clicking. Okay? All right? Now, I want to talk to you quickly about the concept. It's called disruptive innovation. Okay? Disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation happens in every phase of life. Okay, in this case, though, we're going to talk about the iPad. What is a disruptive innovation? It's something that delivers a need at either a level of quality and competence that nothing else can match, so it disrupts the entire world. Okay, that world, or it's a device or something, some product that delivers the same thing at the same quality, but it does it at a price that's so low, it's ridiculously low that nobody else can touch it. Okay? Disruptive technologies, disruptive innovations. How we deal with those are really important. The iPad is a disruptive innovation. Okay? It has changed our world drastically. By the way, you saw last year, particularly last year, or maybe the last 18 months, everybody was hopping on netbooks. Yes? Okay? Everybody's hopping on netbooks. How does that netbook look now? Okay? In fact, netbook sales have increased 50% over the last quarter, simply because they can't keep up with an iPad. All right? And the iPad is a netbook, basically. You got to do is put the keyboard there. Okay? All right, so disruptive innovation is drastically going to change what we do in education. We're here, this is an educational clinic, and particularly what we do in Vanderbilt. This is going to change what we do in education, and it's going to happen in the next 5 years. I've got my publisher's cap on right now. Please make sure that you know we are dealing with major school systems in the country who will never adopt another ink and paper, Basel textbook ever again. It is cheaper for them to put an iPad in a kid's hands than it is for them to buy 6 textbooks. How much are textbooks? What's the average cost?
$80.
Okay, let's be really conservative. Is 50 a good conservative number?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's a conservative number. They got 6 classes. They're spending $300 per student on textbooks for this year. And then on top of that, look at the numbers they're having to do and having to keep up with these things, plus class sets and everything else. Where now, with a device like an iPad, they can get a school discount for about $400. They can put an iPad in the child's hands. And then on top of that, publishers can update the content regularly. It's simple. It's very simple. Okay? We are, in 5 years, most of you will have students running around with some tablet. Most of you. Okay? Within probably 8 years, all of you will. All right? It is very important that you're on the front end of this curve. We in the publishing industry are having to change the way we operate. drastically. All right? Whenever you have a company and a business, all right, it's important to, if you got a horse that's running, ride the horse as long as it'll run. Okay? For us to give you music, band music, scores, ink, paper, all right? We have a system in place. It's been in place for all time, and we're going to ride that as long as we possibly can. And by the way, we have to do that now. Okay? You might not realize it, but you have to do it too. You don't have a choice. I was talking to Ted and Jay about this last night. You don't have a choice. It's not the publishers, it's the school systems. Okay? At the same time, we're having to ramp up new technologies so that as this one is beginning to fade, this one is ramping up. There's going to be a point of convergence. And we want that point of convergence to be the highest point possible so that it's just a little bit, okay, in what it is that we are doing. Very, very important. So we have to cross-fade these technologies. All right? Some of you say, boy, wouldn't it be great, publishers? Why don't they just sell music online? All that stuff. You know, you're absolutely right. It's coming. But we're not the problem. Publishers are the problem now. It's the school systems. Why? School systems will not buy a download. They can't inventory it. All right? I was talking with Ted last night. Ted, okay, oh, my school bought a download. Great. Where's that download at? It's on my computer. Well, what happens if you leave the school? What happens if you take a new job? How do you get those files here? How many of you see the problem? They can't inventory it. They would rather have, they won't buy a download, they'll buy a CD because they can inventory the CD. And that can be left for somebody else in a form that somebody else can use it. You know the problems of shipping downloads from one device to the next. Okay, even if it is unprotected. All right? When it comes down to books, same kind of thing. So they don't, there's an issue there. Here's the next one. When it comes down to paper, band music. When you're sitting there, boy, until you have everybody sitting there with an iPad or something there to put on the stand, how are you going to get that music in front of them? Okay, well, you got to print it out. Let's look at it realistically. You can buy publishers, ink and paper on offset press or digital press, beautiful ink. If it gets a little wet, it just gets a little wet. Maybe it looks just a little wrinkled, but everything is beautiful. How are you going to do it? You're going to print it on an inkjet printer. Okay? You pay $19 for the printer, or you got it for free. How much did you pay for that cartridge of ink? You paid $30. Do you realize you printing it actually costs more than it does buying it from the publisher? And then when you're left, by the way, if you get water on that inkjet page, what happens? The ink runs, doesn't it? Okay? So the technology that exists in your band room doesn't allow for that. Yes, it's nice. We're looking forward to that day. But we can't get there yet. There's other things that have to be in place. All right? So very important to understand. Okay? Schools have to be able to inventory it. And then on top of that, you've got to be able to get it at a certain quality and a certain rate. Okay? The reality is, I'm a bluntly honest kind of guy, the reality is most people want downloads just to supplement their bad money. I didn't order this in time or make my decision in time. I need it now, click. As opposed to, I mean, if you buy from a J.W. Pepper as an example, okay, as an example, you know, if you make your decision at least 24 hours ahead of the time you need it, you know, you can get it by FedEx. That's cheaper. Think about the time it's going to take for you to run down to Walmart and buy $3 $30 ink cartridges. It's going to cost you $100 to print, much less what you pay for the download. And by the way, your inkjet printer won't hold enough paper for you to sit down and say, here, print this. That's a problem. Okay, so the system's not ready for us. These are gifts, okay? All right, let's talk about iPads in the band room. Right now, June 2011, we use iPads in the band room for several things. One, teaching. Presentation technologies, all right, very important. Be able to present in multiple ways. We'll talk about those. Student consumption devices. That's to consume content from somewhere else. Okay? Use it as a web browser. iPad is an unbelievably elegant web browser. Okay? If you ever saw Minority Report, okay, that movie, when they're sitting there and using the interface like it's here now, almost. It's almost here. Okay? With something like FaceTime, if you're old enough to remember Dick Tracy talking into his watch, okay? Now we have people walking around with iPhones and talking to each other. I sit there and I give my daughter a clarinet lesson from a coffee shop in Seoul, Korea. Okay? All via the internet, sitting there on an iPhone and on an iPad. Fascinating. Okay? Consumption devices, various forms of media. However, we also use this as a student creative tool to facilitate and reinforce concepts, knowledge, and skills. Okay? It's a well-documented fact now in the world of business, and when you're starting to talk about advocacy and what we do in music, please understand that the global business community, the number one characteristic they're looking for out of new employees is creativity. This is what we have. This is what we have to do. How do we make this happen? Most of the world is set up to go, well, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You have to have this, 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 and this. No, you didn't hear me. This is what